Well, and after 15 years, you've said you'd goodbyes to Charlton Athletic. It must be quite strange to come to terms with that.
Well, it is, and you know, it's funny. It happened so quickly on the day when me and Richard sat down the Friday before the Blackburn game, and you know, we've been talking for some time about the problems that were there. The fact that he didn't feel there was enough commitment if I just stayed on my existing contract of 1 year. I really felt strongly that I didn't want to go sign anything and tie myself any longer than that. So, you know, as we sat there and it became apparent that something had to change, and once it did and we agreed everything, we just sat around looking at each other. We didn't know what to do, you know. And it's only just sunk in now, really. I think what has happened, and the fact that, you know, this week I'm not trying to sign players. I'm not thinking about pre-season and what we're going to do and if we can change things, and you know, and being full on, you know. So it's a different thing for me at the moment. Has it
been a bit of a release, or are you now apprehensive, wondering what the future holds?
No, it's not a release. I think I enjoyed every minute while I was at the club. I felt, and I still do, I just felt that it was right for the club and it was right for me. And for the last month, really, I've been flagging up to Richard the problems I felt that we were going to encounter with the contract situation and everything else. And no, it's not a relief. It's a bit strange. That's the first thing. You know, I've got a bit of thinking time on my hands. You know, I asked Graham Taylor when he actually retired. Graham Taylor actually retired at Watford, and I went to his retirement dinner, and I said, well, what's that then, that retirement? You know, what's good about that? He went, well, when you wake up in the morning and you walk into the bathroom, or limping, as he said, you know, he was limping to the bathroom. He said, you're thinking about yourself. You're thinking about what you're going to do today, as opposed to thinking about a million other things. And before you get down to the kitchen, you know, you're wondering if there's any traffic and if you're going to get to work, you know, all sorts of different problems. And you think about yourself. And I said, well, that's quite interesting. And 3 months later, we went back to Aston Villa and started again. So it couldn't have worked. But obviously, I'm not retiring. I just I think if I have a break through this summer, I'll have to see what happens after that. But as I said at the weekend, there's nothing sinister in this. I didn't have anything planned to go anywhere. I've got nothing planned to go to another club. I just felt it was the right move for me and the right move for the club.
And emotional as well, when you made the announcement last weekend and received that wonderful reception from your supporters?
I must admit, I've got to thank Richard and Richard Murray and Peter Varney. I was dead against it. You know, we sat in the boardroom on Friday afternoon, and they both wanted to do it. I felt it would have an impact on the game. I thought it would certainly have an impact on the team. They wanted me to keep it as quiet as possible. They wanted me to tell the players at 5 o'clock, 15 minutes before the kick-off. I told Mervyn and Keith at 3:30, because they didn't want anyone to steal the thunder. They didn't want it to leak out and then suddenly... and it's the way they wanted it. And they felt, whatever happened, we won, lost, drew, whatever happened, that gesture was right for me, right for the club, right for Charlton Athletic, and I think they was adamant it was going to happen. So in the end, I gave in to it a little bit. And now I think about it, looking back, you know, it's fantastic. I mean, how many managers get that when they're leaving a club? You know, it doesn't happen. And I think it probably adds to the uniqueness of this club, because I don't think it would have happened anywhere else.
The club has grown enormously in the 15 years you've been here. I mean, you started off with Steve Crick. You were still playing at Upton Park, I think, and Richard Murray came in at virtually the same time and made the decision to appoint you as sole manager, didn't he?
Yeah.
But when you look at what's happened in the intervening years now, it's an incredible progress this club has made.
Yeah, and I think people tend to forget it, how far we've come, because, you know, I think next year is next year obviously a Premiership season for Charlton, and including that one, the last 10 years have been 2 promotions and 8 Premiership years. You know, it's a fantastic run that the club has had, and couldn't imagine it when we started off at Upton Park. But, you know, people talk about myself and Stevie Grit. I thought it was I think we done well. You know, I really do think we done well. But what happened in that period was that Richard Murray and Martin Simons actually got hooked on it. You know, they was on the outside of it a little bit, and I think after our first season at Upton Park, where we came 7th, we nearly got in the playoffs and went up. They saw that there was a bit of a chance of the club becoming a club, again, and them two got involved. And I've always looked back at that thinking, well, if me and Steve hadn't have had such a good season, them two might not have got involved, and if they hadn't have done, no disrespect to anybody else, this club wouldn't be here today.
And when you look at the club now, stadium that holds 28,000, it was gates of 5,000-6,000, I think, when you first took over. It's been a bit of a roller coaster ride as well.
Oh, it's been amazing. I think that I did say at the weekend, what I would really like to do is come back and watch a game where it's obviously sold out, because all the games are sold out here. Actually soak up the atmosphere from sitting upstairs and see it for myself, because obviously when you're down in the dugout or you're involved in it, you don't really catch the whole day. And you know, I've never been given that opportunity, so I may get it now, and it'd be nice. I mean, I really am looking forward, if that's at all possible, to come and watch a game and to take it all in. And I think sometimes, like today, we're here at the Valley and it's empty. I do tend to sit in the stand every now and then and just have a look round, and it may not mean much to people at Old Trafford or the Arsenal new stadium or whatever, but it means a lot to look around this stadium for people that have been involved with Charlton for the last 15, 20 years.
It's a tribute to Charlton as a club as well, that you talk, or you listen to so many people who are in the Championship at the moment who say, that's the template, that's what we work to. We've got ambitions, we know we're not going to be Manchester United or Chelsea, but we have the belief we can get into the Premiership, stay there and do it on a budget.
Yeah, and I think that doing a Charlton has become a bit of a phrase, I think, for a lot of clubs. And, you know, I think we're quite unique, obviously what has happened to us, you know, leaving the ground, going back, and having the run of success we've had. So we're quite unique, and I think on top of that, having a chairman and a manager staying around for 15 years may not ever happen again. Well, I think the chairmans might stay around for a long time, but managers, I don't think, you know, I look at Alex, 20 odd years, and Dario Gradi even longer, and me at 15, I don't know if that's going to be repeated again. I think it's going to be very, very difficult in this day and age for that to happen.
Is it tougher to manage at your level than it is at the top order, where you've got a chequebook and you just sign any player you want?
Well, I spoke to Bobby Robson about this when he was at Newcastle, and the pressure that Newcastle and Liverpool and the Champions League clubs, if you like, are that they've got to get in the Champions League. I mean, for a club like Arsenal, not to get in the Champions League this season is disastrous, financially and for the players and everything else. And that's the pressure I think them top clubs have. I think there's 2 or 3 clubs in the Premiership that perhaps are in no man's land. You know, they can't quite get to that Champions League, and they don't quite get involved in any relegation or any struggles like that. And then there's a group of clubs, 12, 14 clubs, that they know any given season could be involved in a bit of a scrap down the bottom, or if they have a great season like Blackburn have had this year, suddenly find themselves in a European spot. But, you know, it's a tough league, and, you know, I think that for a club like Charlton to, I think we've averaged about 10th or 11th over the last 5 years. It's a fantastic achievement, and an achievement I think that doesn't go unrecognised in the game, but certainly, you know, probably don't count for too much when you see these other clubs win things.
Do you think supporters now expect too much here? They expect you to maybe be pushing for a UEFA Cup place or pushing for the top 6?
I think they have done with ourselves, because you know what we've done? We've set them up. We set them up last season. After 10, 12 games, we were second in the league. We set them up the season before, because we was, I think, 7th with 7 games left and fell away. So while I've been here, you know, we've always sort of done great, but that next step we just couldn't quite take for whatever reason. I've stressed that whoever comes into this club doesn't need to have perhaps them expectation levels. I think whoever comes into the club, and I'm sure Richard and the board will make sure that the expectation levels are relative. The first priority for this club is to make sure it's a Premiership club. I know it sounds boring, but just ask West Brom, Sunderland and Birmingham what it's like, because I know that this week, especially the week after you've gone down, it's traumatic, the football club. So that's the first port of call, and as I say, whoever comes in, I think that should be perhaps his expectation level first season. Let him get his feet under the table and let him just consolidate and take it from there.
When you think back to the success you've enjoyed, is the playoff final against Sunderland the one game that you remember the clearest of any?
Obviously, I think the playoff final, as I said on the day, and I may have got it wrong, but I said on the day, Sunderland could afford to lose that. We couldn't. And I think what I meant there is that if we hadn't have won against Sunderland and gone through, I'd have lost a couple of players, and perhaps our club would never have been the same. Perhaps we'd not have gone on this great journey. I felt Sunderland, they didn't do it in the playoffs, kept their side together and came straight back up the next year, you know, and then enjoyed, 4, 5, 6 years in the Premiership. So I thought on the day it had to be us, and I was so glad it was. So yeah, I mean, I've got great memories of that game. You flash back every time, you know, when you think about it. And I was talking to Mike Bright recently, and he says sometimes he just watches the highlights because it's such an inspirational tape, you know, to watch it in the way it developed and everything else. Just like when you feel a little bit down, put that on. But no, I think the playoff final put us on the map. So yeah, it was a great memory for me.
Any other highlights?
Oh, there's plenty. I think I keep going back to it, and I spoke about it when I spoke to the fans after the game against Blackburn. You know, that first year at Upton Park, because I thought it was vital. If we was everyone's favourites to go down. I think under Lenny, I think we finished about 2 places off of relegation. I think, and you know, Tweedledee and Tweedledum took over, as we was called at the time, and you know, it was. You know, it was something new, and I think everyone was expecting us, no ground, no money, and everyone was expecting us to get relegated. And I think if we had done it, it would have been disastrous, obviously, for the club. So I always think fondly of that season. I think fondly of them players, because that group of players at Upton Park and the group that brought us back to the Valley didn't do it for any rewards. You know, not what the rewards these players are getting now. They done it because it was their job, and they had an affinity with the club. So I've always got a lot of affection for that group of players. So much so that when you walk around this ground, you know, a lot of them are still working here, you know, on Saturdays and part of the club. And so that first year at Upton Park, I thought, is a big memory to me. Obviously, we went straight back down, which we gave it our best, but you know, we went down the last game of the season. Obviously, the promotion year. You know, we bounced straight back, and we done it because of the planning. You know, we didn't have to sell our players this time, and like a lot of clubs, and we could add to the team, and that was it was a great boost. And I think that year, the league managers gave me Manager of the Year, and you know, I think Fergie had won everything. I don't, you know, something, and I was sitting there, and I got that award, and you know, great managers in front of me who have been really successful, but they all knew to go down and come straight back up is a bit of a feat. I think it doesn't happen too many times. So that was a great memory, and I think that every time we played a Premiership game here, win, lose or draw, completely full up. You know, it's fantastic, because you know, I don't want to keep harping on about the porter cabins and everything else, but certainly, when you walk around this ground now on a match day and it's sold out, it's a great sense of achievement and pride.
So what next? Where are your ambitions now?
I'll be honest, I did, you know, when the end came, if you like, it wasn't relief and all that sort of stuff, because I don't think I'd been under any pressure from anywhere. I've got a clear mind on it. As I said to the crowd after the game, I've got nothing lined up, and I haven't. All I felt was it was the right time for everybody. So I'll wait and see. I'm looking forward to having a couple of holidays, having a break, like everybody. And I think the fact that I've not got to be thinking too much may help me. And I'll have to see what happens. A lot of people said, "Oh, what is he retiring? He needs a break. Is he going to give it up?" I'm not going to do that. Obviously, I want to come back into the game, but I don't know where yet, and I don't know how long. I just think I'm in a fortunate position at the moment that I can wait and see what happens.